This is a time for public communication. If anyone has something they wish to convey to the court, please step forward. If not, we'll commence with our consent agenda.
I have a little something I want to say.
Okay.
2 weeks ago at the meeting, I wasn't here, and Mr. Howard brought up a deal about comp time, and so I want to explain that to the public. Our comp time in our policy manual, we can have up to 240 hours our employees can have. Of course, the precinct workers get more than the office workers because of late days and things like that. This employee had 201 hours, and he had a little over 50 hours in vacation time. So I have not picked up another person because at the end of the year I will have the money in my budget. I do have the money in my budget to cover this payroll. So I just want the public to know. And okay, I'm going to say this too, that I did say one time that comp time doesn't cost the taxpayers money. Well, in most offices it doesn't, because the employees don't get as much time and they do use it as time off. In the precincts, yes, we tried to get the guys to take off when they're getting up to the max, but sometimes we just can't get them off. Now we had 3 employees, now I'm down to 2, so it's really hard to get people to take off when we have work to do. So that's all. Thank you.
All right, at the beginning of the consent agenda, Commissioner Morales on page 16, $635.04. Motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
One abstention.
Motion carries. Page 19, Commissioner Bruins, $515.76. Motion to approve.
So moved, Judge.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain.
Motion carries. Page 20, Goliad Auto Parts, $436.99. Motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain.
Motion carries. Page 23, Highway Garage, $270. Motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
One abstention.
Motion carries. Page 23, Commissioner Edwards, $846.16. Motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain.
Motion carries. The remainder of the consent agenda, if anyone has any questions, comments, otherwise need a motion to approve it, please.
So moved, Judge.
Second.
I'll second.
I have a comment on we were looking over the credit card bills, and I talked to Rusty today, and we don't have a policy on credit card use. I guess the policy book was done that long ago that we didn't have the credit cards yet. So I looked, and doesn't say anything about credit cards. So we will look into that. And right. Okay.
How does this fit in with the consent agenda?
Sir?
How does this fit in with the consent agenda?
It was credit card bills that were in the consent agenda.
So
Charges,
do you
credit
object
cards.
to those charges, or?
No, I'm not detesting. No, I'm just saying we need to look into this because
Okay, we need to start staying on topic with put it on the agenda if you want to address it. Anything else on the consent agenda?
No, sir.
Let me have your motion again and we'll get a second.
Motion to approve it.
Second, please.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Wade, request for Judge Bennett to sign fiscal year 2022 Title III Service Agreement Contract between Goliad County Rural Transit and the Area Agency on Aging. Mary? Turn your mic on there if you would. Push the buttons. Thank you.
This is the annual contract we have with the Area Agency on Aging. It's just standard.
You all have a copy of the contract. Do you have any questions for Ms. Wade? Otherwise, need a motion to approve it, please.
So moved, Judge.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Request for Judge Bennett to sign the fiscal year 22 State 5311 contract. Ms. Wade?
Again, this is an annual contract we have. This is a state contract for the transportation with the Golden Crescent.
Any questions for Ms. Wade? If not, I need a motion to approve, please.
So move.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Steve, you're up. Consideration and action on adopting a resolution authorizing offer to purchase tax resale property in suit 19-03-0819-CV Goliad Independent School District et al. Versus Rose F. Ricky, account number, yada, yada. 0.876 acres, more or less, situated in the A. Berry Survey, Abstract 59, Goliad County, Texas.
Good evening, Judge. Good evening, Commissioners. What you have before you tonight is an offer to purchase tax resale property. Just as a reminder to the court, if ultimately we're forced to file a lawsuit, then we will sell the property that we filed the suit on the courthouse steps. If nobody buys it on the courthouse steps, then the property is struck off. And what that means is the county takes ownership as trustee for everybody in the suit. At that time, if anybody comes in and makes a bid, and that bid is less than what you would have received on the courthouse steps, it requires the authorization of every taxing authority who is a party to the judgment. However, if the amount of the bid is what you would have received on the courthouse steps, then it only requires the county's authorization, and that's what you have before you tonight. It's the full amount you would have received on the courthouse steps.
Does anyone have questions for Mr. Salcedo? If
I'll-
not, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion that the property, the Rose Ricky account number such and such, suit number 19-03-0819, be sold to the new person who wants to buy this at the current taxing price, which means all the taxing entities get their share, correct?
That is correct, Commissioner.
I make that motion, that we accept this.
Need a second, please.
So
I'll s-
move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have another property, consideration and action on adopting a resolution authorizing offer to purchase tax resale property in suit number 07119266-CV, Goliad County ISD et al., Town of Goliad. Steve?
Judge, this is a similar offer. You will receive the same amount you would have received on the courthouse steps. Everything will be paid in full.
Any questions? If not, I need a motion to approve that, please.
I'll make the motion that we approve this sale, so that all the taxing agencies get their just amount. I'll make that motion.
Need a second, please.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you for having me here tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Edison, canvass of November 2nd election, constitutional amendment election.
Good evening. Yes, I set on your desk copies of the unofficial results for the November 2nd constitutional amendment, and I wanted to speak on that on the Proposition 7, when I went to calculate my calculator, I did not clear it, and so the for and against votes were totaled together, and I was needing to make that correction here at the canvas tonight.
Any questions for Ms. Edison?
So,
Other than that, there was the only correction?
Correct. That was the only little issue I had.
Okay, so I'm looking at this, it's highlighted, looks like number 7 is highlighted. So
Yes,
what-
yes, sir.
Tell me again what happened here?
So when I went to, I was adding all the for and against votes for each of the propositions. If you look at the back page, it has the Proposition 7 where I was adding, I did not clear after I totaled the for votes and added for and against together and entered that as a total.
Okay, so it's highlighted here, these are not the correct numbers, or these are the correct numbers now?
The top for is correct, the bottom for against is not correct.
Yeah, I'm looking at the sheet of paper here.
Correct.
Okay, so the one,
The first highlighted number is correct, the second highlighted number is incorrect.
okay, so it's 228 rather than the 260?
Correct. The 260 was the total for both for and against,
Okay.
and the against should read 32.
So you've already corrected this at the state level, I'm assuming then?
No, sir, I would have to correct it here at the canvas. When the canvas is completed, I left your paperwork on your desk. When it's completed, then that's what I will turn into the Secretary of State for the official canvas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions, Ms. Edison?
No, sir.
Need a motion to approve, please?
So moved, Judge.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We have to sign that canvas, Judge, or just you?
I haven't signed it yet. I'll get them signed at the end. We had a personnel problem. I don't think that there's a need to go into executive session. Basically, a person was part-time.
Yeah, in like 2017, an employee was hired. When they started the pension program with her, never got started. So we're behind for this lady. The employee's deposit should have been $9,137.50, and the employer's contribution should have been $6,245, and the term life $339.39, and the total would have been $15,677.34. I've talked to the pension people. We probably need to make this lady whole. There's a few ways, we could do that. I wasn't going to pay this out without bringing it to court and getting approval. So that's what I'm here to.
So what you're asking us to do is to approve the contributions
Right.
that should have been made from 2017.
Started in 17, yes, sir.
Does
So you-
anyone have any questions about?
So you're saying your retirement was never taken out of her,
Retirement never got started. At
and she
some
was,
point, she was on some kind of, waiting on some certificates to get approved to get hired as a full-time person. Somewhere the ball got dropped. Never got her pension started.
So let me make sure I understand. She was part-time.
Well, I don't know that, but she was waiting on some kind of certificate or something, temp, maybe, something. I wasn't here at that point. I couldn't tell you. Anyway, long story short, it never got started for whatever reason, and
but I guess we need to figure out if she was hired at part-time or full-time originally.
she was full-time in the beginning. They were waiting on a certificate to make her eligible for the job, and I think they may have had a grace period or something, if I understood what they were telling me, to get started, but she had a certain date that she had to have the certificate done and pass the test.
Because we have a 90-day waiting period anyway to
Right.
get all the other
Oh, yeah.
stuff.
Well, these totals are calculated by TCDRS for us and told us
Right.
how to do it, so the numbers are right.
What is the number that you're asking us to approve? What is the number?
$15,677.34.
And that will make her whole?
Yes, sir.
And those monies are the ones that are going to her retirement?
He'll go to the retirement company.
And so that's from 2017 till this point?
Yes.
Was she paid the whole amount? So they didn't pull the retirement out of her check, so she was paid that amount?
Well, yeah, was she
Right.
paid the whole amount?
She was paid what she was supposed to get paid without the pension being taken away or taken out. And
We weren't
submitted.
holding up our end of the deal, apparently,
Right.
and she was paying her part.
No, nothing was done. Nobody paid anything.
Oh, she didn't pay any?
No,
I
wasn't
thought
taken
you
out.
just asked if they were taken out of her check.
Yeah,
No, nothing was ever taken out of her check ever,
right, so, but
as far as the pension plan.
But these monies, her retirement monies was getting paid on her check or not? Was she getting that retirement money that was
She
supposed to
got
go?
her whole check with no deductions.
So then we only got to pay her the match or contribute the match to the state
Well,
because she's already got
This-
paid.
this is the deal. When I talked to the TCDRS people, they said this is not the first time this has happened in these programs that they've had. And she recommended that the county pay the whole in full. Because if you don't, if she decides she wants to go to court over it, she said that nobody's ever won, only the employees won.
So we're paying her half, her
Right.
contribution, and our contribution.
Right.
Because we were delinquent in
Yes,
paying ours on the front end.
right.
It's believable. This goes back to 17 and 18?
17 to current. First part of 17 to today.
Can I ask how this was discovered?
She looked at her check finally and noticed it wasn't getting taken out.
No deductions on it, huh?
Right.
All this time?
All this time.
Well, I'm glad she decided to look at her check and bring it to your attention.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Right.
Well, I think the county needs to make her whole. I'll make the motion that the county pay the full 16,000.
15,
Uh,
15, 6, 77, 34.
34. It's, was not her fault that she didn't get put on and money taken out. The county needs to make whole this employee. It's our duty and honor to take care of our employees, and I'll make the motion that we make this person whole with the retirement since whatever it was, the early part of 2017 till now. And of course, now you're now taking, the next check she'll be having money taken out, I'm assuming then?
I believe this last payroll, she's already getting it taken out now.
Okay. Well,
I
I
believe
believe,
that's all been
I believe it's
corrected.
our responsibility to take care of our county employees, and I'll make the motion that we make her whole, her retirement whole, that we foolishly or mismanaged or whatever we did, whatever the term would be.
Overlook. So
Overlooked.
Need a second on that motion?
So I got one more question, Brian,
Yes, sir.
please, if I may, Judge. So this is going to give her time that she's already served in years of service? Will that get her
well, she
time
would
back?
already had the years of service that she had. She just didn't have the money to show for it
Okay.
in her account.
And do we have anything in place that this doesn't happen again?
It was
What's-
overlooked somehow.
Because
Uh,
all the checks,
what should happen is if they were holding a person up, not getting stuff taken out, they should have, whatever department this came from, they should have sent us a change order and say, this person now is full-time eligible. So, that's what we have those, change orders for
Change of
payroll.
status.
Yep.
Change of status forms.
Status forms for payroll. Never got sent. I'm assuming, like I said, I wasn't here, so I don't know what happened.
we need to be more diligent in
Yes.
that effort.
That is for sure.
Now, when she went from part-time to full-time, she went from,
I don't know that she
20.
was ever part-time.
she was never part-time.
I don't think so.
She didn't have the proper certification in hand.
Right.
And they were waiting on that.
And then they were at her, I guess, on a probation period, maybe. Like I said, I wasn't here.
So she would have the proper, does that employee have the proper documentation at this point?
Yeah, surely at 5 years she should have.
I'm just asking. I'm just
It's
asking.
not my department, I don't know. I don't handle that. I don't handle that.
So we believe she was hired full-time from the beginning,
Yes,
and
never happened.
Never had nothing taken out.
it got blown, so we need to fix it, do the right thing.
Yes, sir.
We have one motion on the table to pay it. Need a second, please.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's get down to item number 11.
Actually, item number 9 and 10 refer to this closed session, open session, so
We just covered
we
that.
covered it, so we're not skipping.
We're done.
Moving on.
We're done.
We're done with them.
Item number 11, receive and provide information, evaluate demographics, and take possible action regarding redistricting of county political boundaries.
Don't read the Spanish, it's okay.
I won't read the Spanish.
Thank you.
So we have Mr. Frank Riley from Allison, Bass and McGee. Once every 10 years, there's a census, and once every 10 years, we hire a law firm to handle the redistricting, and this is that time. Mr. Riley?
Thank you, Judge and Commissioners. Pleasure to be here with you tonight. And as you said, every 10 years after the result of the census, as a result, since 1971, in the Midland County case, it went up to the U.S. Supreme Court, counties are required to look at their existing boundaries for the people that are the policymakers, which are you all. You also have separate lines and boundaries for your justice, peace, and constables. Those may be moved, but they're not required to be population adjusted or balanced based upon the census data. So the main thing you should be concerned about tonight is the Commissioner's Court precinct lines. But again, if you decide you want to change those others, we can certainly look into that as well. And the census said that the county had 7,012 people. They divide that by the 4 commissioner precincts, that ends up to 1,753 people is the ideal population for each one. And then what the courts do basically is they look at the largest populated precinct and the smallest populated precinct, and they look at the delta between those, if you will, the difference. And if that percentage together exceeds 10%, then redistricting is required in order to maintain the one person, one vote guarantees under the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. And so the county's growth was unfortunately not even amongst all the precincts, and so we do have a total deviation of, I believe it's 39.91%. Not a lot of people in the whole number of schemes of things, but Precinct 2 is underpopulated by about 189, which is the maximum on that side, and Precinct 4 is overpopulated by about 17.74%, or 311 people. So if I might sit down and kind of take it from here.
But you have a solution for that.
I do, and I'm going to need your guidance, but it can be done. Fortunately, the 4 precincts come together primarily in Goliad, and so if you look at these are the 4 precincts with the resulting numbers of overages and underages. We scroll into and look at Goliad as a
We can't hear you, sir.
How's that?
Better.
Much better, I hope. Thank you. Please tell me to speak up if you can't hear as we go through into the future. The major differences are between precincts 2 and precincts 3. And most counties prefer to try to do their adjustments, if you will, within the cities, so that the county lines are not, the county roads and so forth are not nearly as, affected, and that what you currently have in place for what you all maintain and operate can remain fairly much the same. So the thought would be to transfer some of these precincts here into perhaps precinct 2, and some of these voting blocks also perhaps into precinct 1.
Okay, so what are you talking about there? The numbers up at the very top, the green numbers up at the top? You're talking about moving precinct voting boxes?
Well, I'm talking about moving, not voting boxes per se, and the districts are built on census blocks. And unfortunately, sometimes the census blocks from the Census Bureau are not as great as in geographic definition as we would like them to be. But if you see these small numbers here, these are the number of people that are within each of these census blocks. And so you kind of get a sense of what it would be if you move these around. So let me suggest we can, I don't know, before I kind of start doing this on a temporary basis, do you all have any suggestions that have come to your own minds that you want to give me in guidance in redrawing any of these districts? If not, I can give you suggestions, but that's, I just wanted to check and see if there are major lines, even out here in the areas that don't have a lot of people.
Proceed with your
Okay, sir.
suggestion.
Let me then, should we make this change that we're looking at here? This is Pearl Street down here at the bottom. Let me zoom in and get the name of the street on top. Let me make that names bigger. Ward Street. Should we make that move, you would basically equalize pretty close precinct 2. You would move the number of people that you would need to move into precinct 2 from precinct 3. Precinct 3 would still need some. It would now be a little under, so we'd have to move some from precinct 4 into precinct 3 and move some from precinct 4 into precinct 1.
So basically, all these changes would occur in the city limits, is that what you're saying?
I'm sorry, Commissioner, please say again.
Basically, all these changes would occur within the city limits of Goliad, is that what you're saying?
That's what we're talking about at this point. I think at some point we're going to have to go outside the city limits, but the goal would be to make most of your changes within the city limits. I'm going
So
to.
Ward Street would go back into precinct 2?
Ward Street would be the dividing lines between 2 and 3 at this point. And then some of it would remain in 1 at the moment.
It basically is now, though, Ward Street.
Yeah, there's this one gap here in the middle on Ward Street right there. That's in precinct 3 now. If we did this, this would move it into 2.
So it would go in precinct 2 from Ward Street from where to where?
Ward down to Pearl, and then North Street right here, hopefully you can see what I'm doing, and feel free to come closer, Commissioner, if you need to.
I can't see it from here, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
Maybe easier if you all move down here.
Why don't you move down here so you can see this thing? It's gonna affect y'all. People are gonna be complaining because the roads aren't mowed.
Okay. So this is Ward Street, Commissioner, that runs all the way through here and includes 2, and then it divides between 2 and 3 right there, and then this area that's currently in 3 would be added to 2. This is Ward Street, this North Street, San Patricio Street, Pearl Street. Back to the Future.
It was in 2010, that was in precinct 2. They changed back in 2010. Before 2010, it was in precinct 2. But it's okay.
Does that look okay to y'all as at least as a starting point? Plus the red. Precinct 2. Yes, sir. Right. That area would no longer be in 3. Blue part remains in 3.
And what's the East Street boundary? East one?
East one. Jefferson Street, 183. Michael Street. Any objections to that, Commissioners? What I'd like to try to do tonight is, if we can get a consensus, is get these maps redrawn and then come back a second time with the plan. But I'd sure like to have your basic consensus tonight if we could.
That's not gonna affect any of the voting stations?
It,
It's going to even the numbers out, but it's not going to affect any of the voting
You know, where we
places.
vote at?
No, no, polling places.
okay. Mostly the city, but I don't know what's outside the city.
Ward Street is in the county, so it's still yours because it's yours now. Still a dividing line.
I think I see a city limits here, so perhaps not all of it.
No, I mean, what you call it, Gay Meadow is in the city, but Ward Street is not. Correct.
The difficulty with 4 being overpopulated is that it's not in the city, and so moving things around for it is not nearly as easy. But I think some of 4 is going to need to go into 3, and some of 4 is going to need to go into 1.
Only streets we have in, close to the city is, or in town, is Sapender, East, Minaway, and Franklin is the only streets that I have.
And you're in 1, or you?
I'm in 4.
You're in 4. I'm sorry. Okay.
And Sapender has grown population. That's probably where your growth is.
Well, that's question for you. So that I see Sapender here,
Yes, sir.
but it goes up here.
Sapender goes into Minaway, comes off of
Oh, there.
59 and goes into Minaway,
Okay.
or Minahula, whoever.
I assume this is the river, that's the boundary.
No. No, 59 separates 4 and 1.
Really?
The dividing line is 239 west.
So this area is in 4. That I'm pointing at, because this is 59.
There's Frankie Road, see that road right there?
Right.
in the middle? That's Frankie. So come to your left is Sappinger is down here.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. But all of this, north of 59 is in 4? Do we have a line wrong?
Yeah, that's currently in 4.
Yeah, north of 59, all the way to the Fannin, what is the road? FM road in front of the power plant,
506. I mean, 2987.
2987.
My goodness. All right, let me check something here.
What's your westbound line over there? Is that Fourth Street?
This is 183 here.
No, on the, on.
4th Street, yes, sir. Is that where it should be there, at least? But
Well, I have
I'm very concerned that we,
I've got Oak Street.
I'll make that even larger. That didn't even match there. I am not the mapping person in the sense of where these lines originated, but this is
Ward
The-
Street should be down between one
Well, Commissioner,
and Ward Street.
Ward Street is what?
Fourth to Ward. You're on the, that's where, right now, that's where 1, 2, and 3 come together at Fourth and Ward.
Yes, correct.
And then everything on the south side of Ward is one,
Right,
all the way to Second,
right.
but not Second. That's straight.
Right.
So at the end of Second and Ward, it's gonna be me and you.
okay. Well, first of all, I have to say I apologize. I don't know what has occurred with these lines. First of all, these don't match that line. Would this be the black one be the dividing line now? So it should be down here to the river?
The river doesn't divide anything.
Nothing.
Nothing.
So it should be 59 on this side as well? Southeast of the city, or southwest of the city?
Correct. 59 is the,
All right.
239 is the dividing line, not 59.
Well, I don't even see the point of me doing much more on this until I can get the right data in here and run the numbers again. And I am so sorry to take your time tonight to do this, but
This is, that's
1351 there.
Yeah, 239 is way up to your right, up high. right there.
right up there, yeah. So all of this should be 2.
Frank, when's the deadline for approving this?
Well, technically, thanks to the Secretary of State and the legislature, Saturday. However, there are no penalties or harsh consequences if it's not finished by Saturday. It's just that the parties would like to know, political parties would like to know where the lines are for their primary votes in March. If the courts don't mess with the primary deadlines, we still don't know if they're going to monkey around with that at all at this point.
But this ain't gonna take no effect on this primary because there's lawsuits involving this thing.
Yeah, so it could be put off for a while, who knows? But we're just moving forward as if we need to do this as soon as possible. So what I would request for you all, were we rescheduled for next week, Judge, or Friday?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Were we rescheduled for a second meeting yet or not?
Well, we assume that there might be. We could.
Right.
Is next Monday too late?
No, sir.
So it sounds like we need to get in punt formation and get this map squared away. And if there's a way for you to communicate with the commissioners and myself.
Yes.
To send us.
Yes, I will send you new things.
copies of
And,
what you
and
think we can mark
let's
them
just say a prayer that once we get the lines accurate in this system, that maybe the growth did occur the way it needed to grow, and we may not even need to redistrict. But I would think that's unlikely, but, you know, that's a possibility too. Those numbers are based on that drawing, yes, sir. I would just shred that, and I am so sorry.
I have
I
a
don't have an explanation.
I have a very good map
So we will schedule another
that
meeting
has,
for
you have a
next
copy.
Monday.
Perhaps, my Monday is really full, but I'll work with your office and try to figure out a time next week we can get ourselves together.
Be a workshop.
Yep. Zoom doesn't work well here, I don't think, right? As Zoom doesn't work well for me to appear. I kind of really need to be here in person, that's my understanding. So let me
These maps you have up here.
Let me work on it.
When? What year?
Well,
Thanks,
I am told that those were the lines that were adopted in 2011. I mean, that's what this is supposed to be. Clearly, they're not, so
Or if they are, we've been doing the wrong roads.
yeah.
We've been
possibly.
voting in the wrong
No,
places.
I'm sure you all know what your lines are and what they're
Like
supposed to be.
I
So
said, that piece that you want to put back into precinct 2 was in precinct.
was in precinct 2. Now, do you think it already is?
It's not now.
No.
It's in precinct 3
Okay.
That's mine.
So that would,
Today.
okay,
today.
yeah.
They've
Gotcha.
been pretending like it is anyway.
Yes,
So I guess you'll get back with me tomorrow and let me
Yeah,
know what your
Judge,
schedule looks like.
I'll get back with you tomorrow. We'll get the numbers rerun for as quickly as we possibly can once we figure out what happened here.
I would suggest you get with Miss Edison over there and get your latest maps from her, because we just had an election. Those maps, those lines are drawn on those maps.
We'll talk.
I want to say those are dated like 2013.
2013?
I want to say.
Was there a Justice Department action or a lawsuit after the 2011?
Not that I remember.
I wouldn't.
I can remember we voted a long time after March for the primary.
Okay. Because that's happened in other counties where someone took the lines that were adopted in 2011, and then there was changes after the Justice Department interjected some opposition to it. But I don't, perhaps that happened here, but if y'all don't remember that, you would remember that, I would think, so.
So if you could communicate with us tomorrow and send these maps so that these four
Yes.
commissioners can mark them up and
Yes.
know what they have. Trust me, they do.
Yes, sir, I'm sure they do, so.
And
that-
then we'll need ample time to set another meeting, 72 hours, I suppose.
Yes, sir.
I'd ask you to use bigger font on them.
Please,
Yeah, bigger fonts on the roads?
on everything.
Okay. Yeah, you see me straining, so I get it.
Couldn't even read these numbers.
I get it. Okay. And maybe I'll have my number one projector next time around, and this is my backup, and it's not as bright as the others are. So, okay.
We can tell you where our lines are, just
Yeah.
off the top of our heads. We know where they're at.
Or at least what we think are our lines.
I'm sure you know them.
The way
I'm
we've
sure
been-
we
The way
know.
we've been doing it the last 8 years.
I'm sure you know them. Yes, sir. Okay. All right.
Right.
We'll do that. I'm sorry.
Take no action.
It's okay. We'll take no action on this.
So we will be back in touch as soon as we possibly can. Tomorrow sometime.
Okay, so, because of the discrepancies in the maps, we're going to take no action on this and set another meeting once we get the map straightened out. Any questions, comments on that?
No, sir, Judge.
All right. Does anyone have a public announcement they'd like to make?
Get up to the,
I'm speaking on behalf of the Republican chairperson. She couldn't be here tonight, announcing that on Saturday, November the 13th, the Republican Party will be taking applications for offices for this coming election for 22, for the primary in March. And it will be at the depot from 9 to 4 p.m. And the offices that are there, they'll have applications. If they already have their application, they have to have it signed and notarized before they come. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jimmy. Any other public announcements? If not, I need a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved, Judge.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.